What is up, guys? This is KOJOFOREX, aka GBP Legend, aka Sniper Trader, aka King of Blues. I'm back again on your YouTube screens with another insane content, something that perhaps I've never really touched on deeply. Today, I'm going to show you the best day trading strategy you have ever learned. Period. Like, this is on period. This is probably the best video you've ever spent your next 10 minutes watching, right? I'm going to delve deeply into breaking down how I catch day trades on the market. This is a very simple analysis, right? No technical trend line, any scary things like that. It's a straightforward concept, but if you get it right, I mean, it's a life-changing strategy. If you get it right by following this simple step that I'm going to show you, it is a life-changing strategy. It will perhaps be like the only thing you need to know in forex market to succeed. No cap, right? If you can learn it properly, stick with it, and then dedicate all your energy into delving deeply into everything I'm going to show you here, you don't need to even watch any other video again on the internet, right? Now, we're not going to be going into trading view with this strategy. We're going to do all our analysis on the MetaTrader app itself. I'm going to help you set the MetaTrader app to look that juicy, clear, like the way I would personally do mine, and then break everything down like I'll show you, right? So let's take a few minutes to transform our MetaTrader into the way I would like my own to look like, right? So first, what you want to do is that right-click on your mouse, go onto the properties, and on the properties, I like to usually let my background look gray, right? You want to choose the gray color, and then all I do is that I want mine bull candle, right? When you come to the bull candle, I usually want it to look like this one, right? Red velvet, or perhaps even this Indian red, right? Let's use the Indian red. Then we can maintain the black candle that way. Then what I do next is that you come to this common area. You want to have your setting looking exactly like I have here, right? So let me show you briefly. You can see that I have my show open high lower close, right? It has a purpose. My ask line is there, period separator is there. Very important, right? Very important. Now, if you don't know, these are the period separators. These dotted lines you can see on your screen here, they represent the period separators. Very important to have them on. Then we don't want to show the grid, we don't want to show the volume, then show object description, which is not really going to do much in this strategy, but you just want to show it. And then keep this side also this way, chart shift like this, and then auto scroll like this. That's all you need, right? Now, if you do this and then you click OK, this is how your chart is going to look like. Perfect. That's how we want our chart to look like with this strategy. It is not necessary that you want to keep your chart this way, but I mean, it adds a little bit of flair to what we're going to do. Next off, when you come to this side, right, where we have the tools that allows us to do analysis on the MetaTrader 4, right? This side, let me show you guys briefly. This side of the chart, then you want to have the rectangle shape on. Now, on the default settings, the rectangle shape is not there. How you can get the rectangle shape to reflect here is that when you see this dotted lines here, right, the one just at the top here, these dotted lines there, what you want to do is that you want to right click on that dotted lines, then you go to customize. Once you come to customize, you're going to find it around here. So once you find it there, I've already done mine, so it's already here. Then you click insert, it's going to bring it up here. Then you want to shift it a little bit up so that it can appear in your default settings. Now, what you want to do is that this rectangle shape, usually on the default settings, it has a shaded region in between like that. So let me show you. When I double click this, then I go to rectangle properties and I come to draw object on background, then you're going to see that it's shaded blue, but we don't want to have object on the background. So what we want to do is that you come to properties, then you unclick that one so that it's going to just be a plain rectangle. Very neat like this, right? Very beautiful like this. Now all you need is just this setting, but what you want to do next is that you want to custom save this template so that you don't have to repeat it on other currency pairs that you open. So we come to save template, then we're going to save this day trading or KOJOFOREX day trading, right? You can use my name because I'm teaching you the strategy. KOJOFOREX day trade. Then you go to save. So once you do that, you can replicate it anywhere. So let's come to, let's say, GBP JPY. We can just right click, come to template, we choose KOJOFOREX day trade, then we have our day trading looking beautiful like this. Now let's get into the strategy itself. If you remember what I started with, I told you that the period separator is very important for this lesson that we're going to be doing. Now, the purpose of the period separator is that it tells you the activity of the market as every day passes by. So what this means is that just Friday, the market opened here for GBP JPY and then traded and ended here. Friday, obviously, the market closed. What it means is that Saturday, no trading, Sunday, no trading, but Sunday, midnight, going into Monday, this is exactly the price point where the market is going to open, and then Monday would have the market trading along this way. It also means that this is what happened on Thursday, right? The whole market was just consolidating. It was only on Friday that we have extra consolidation before this massive downturn, right, which is detailing what I'm going to be showing you in the next couple of minutes. If you go on, it's the same thing, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on and so forth, right? Enough with that, let's go into the breaking down of the strategy. Also, one thing that will help you to also understand this period separation is that you have to understand the fact that you can only have 3 major markets in the market, right, which is the Asian session, the London session, and then the New York session. If you find yourself anywhere in West Africa, you're definitely blessed, because we kind of have like a similar time zone as the London session, which is like the leading market globally, right? The London market is the leading market globally. But what it means, again, it doesn't mean that the London market is the most important, but what it only means is that it has the most volume coming in on the market, and then a bit of volume. In fact, the rank is that the London first, then the New York, then the Asian session. The Asian session usually have the little volume, right? That's why I really find myself extremely blessed to be in Ghana, because Ghana has like the same time zone as London. When the London market opens, that's exactly the same time that is like, let's say 7 a.m. here, right? So the meaning of this whole day trade, or the meaning of this whole period separator here, is that the first is 3 quarters, right? The first quarter is here, 3 quarters divided equally, right? So you know that we have 24 hours in a day. That means that in a full day like this, we have 8 hours for the Asian session, 8 hours for the London session, and then 8 hours for the New York session. Nonetheless, there are a little bit of overlaps, right? So we don't even want to worry ourselves with the overlaps now. That's a little bit slight in between the chart. The London session is from 8 o'clock to 4 p.m. and the New York session would open at 12 p.m. all through to 8. So in between 12 and 4, there is an overlap between the London session and the New York session. But you don't really want to worry your head about that much details, right? Let's focus on the simple things for now. All you want to do is just understand the first quarter, right? It is in 3 quarters. The first quarter as the Asian session, the second one as the London, and then the third one as the New York, right? It's always like that, right? Let me change this to black so that it becomes more visible. So Asian, London, New York. You always want to see your chart that way, right? We have the Asian, we have the London, and then we have the New York. Just like that. Asian, London, New York. Asian, London, New York. Now, let me tell you a little bit of characteristics of the Asian session. I've said it previously in my most recent video. The major characteristics of the Asian session is that it has a lot of consolidation. Consolidation because it has the less volume across the market. It doesn't have a lot of market movement, right? Not much orders go on during the Asian session. So you usually see the Asian session really not trading much, no moving, no volatility, no trends, right? But it's a blessing in its own way. I'll show you why. And then the London session is where usually you'd have volume setting in. By the London session, you will usually have volume setting in the European currency pairs, which is like the euro, which is like the pound, Swiss franc, and all the other ones. But nonetheless, as far as I'm saying that we don't have much volume in the Asian session, it doesn't mean that it cuts across all currency pairs. When it comes to the antipodian dollars, which is like the New Zealand dollar, the Australian dollar, as well as the Asian currency pairs, which is like the Japanese yen especially, they have a much characteristics of moving during the Asian session. We're going to look briefly into that as well. And then we have the US currency pair moving much during the New York session, right? Also, when it comes to like the asset classes, which is like the stock index, like the US 30 and then the Nasdaq, they find themselves also moving a lot more in the New York session than any other session at all. Now, let's get straight into the strategy. With all the simple steps that I've told you, what you want to do is that you should have jotted every important point that I mentioned in your jotter or in your notepad, because it is based on that concept, that theoretical explanation, that whatever I'm going to teach you here would make much sense, right? So as far as you're understanding that most of the market has a lot of consolidation, you really want to be happy, especially when you have a day when the Asian session has a lot of consolidation, like we had on last Friday, right? So if you look at this chart, basically the whole of last Friday had major consolidation in the Asian session, right? So you can see that the Asian session opened here and then it ended here. So there is a pip difference of, let's say, 16 pips, right? Barely 16, 17 pips in the Asian session, right? So on this particular day, what it means is that during the whole Asian session, it traded within a bandwidth of 16 pips. On that note, you can clearly see that with what I just explained, that you want to see first quarter of the chart as the Asian session, it may perhaps have ended here. So once we have Asian session ended here, it means that the rest is London opening. Now, that is the very opportune time you want to be seated by your chart if you're looking at a currency pair like pound, which is the GBP, right? Now, if you look at this, you can see that during the first half of the trading session, there was a little bit of manipulation going on here, right? Which is like a fake out, the market deceiving us as if it's going to go on the upside and then quickly coming in onto the downside. Right? Yeah, you may have been trapped in that upside potential, because the purpose of this strategy is that once you see a consolidation going on, you want to take advantage of any point in time where the market breaks out onto the opposite side, especially during the trading session that you want. In my case, the London session. So here, the moment the market breaks out like this, I have already measured that I'm barely going to be risking 16 pips on this setup. So my stop loss is here, my entry is here, and then trying to take advantage here. Now, let's say in this instance, the market tricked me. What do? If I had not taken any partial profit from here already and the market quickly reverses back inside, I'm going to take that L, because this is just exactly where my stop loss should be. But it then also means that I can easily flip my position from that buy bias to now a sell bias. And then with the same analogy, you want to put your entry here and then your stop loss, which is 16 pips away. And then by then, what it means is that you would have taken advantage of making as much as 140 pips within a few couple of minutes on the market, right? Very, very easy, but most beautiful and brilliant strategy that you would ever want to practice on this market, right? So yeah, understand that not every day is a heyday in the market. So if you're using the same analogy on this particular day, you may have just been seated around the whole day without necessarily getting anything reasonable. Nonetheless, on this very day, look at again what happens, right? Consolidation during the Asian session, the first half of the Asian session, the market opens on the London session. What do? We take off onto the upside. Your stop loss, your entry here again, your stop loss here, and then let's guess how many pips you would have made on this position. That's about 40 pips quickly. Remember that this is day trading. You're not trying to hold this trade as a swing trade overnight or whatever it is. You make a few pips, maximum 30 pips and above. You should be extremely happy with that. If the market blesses you with 100 pips above, that's a good day. But you should be always targeting within the range of 30, 40, 50 pips, and then you're quickly out of the market. So yeah, that's like a characteristic that we can see. If you go on and on in backtesting everything that I've shown you, you're going to see insane setups that have really occurred over the course of time based on this simple analogy, right? If you're trading the Nasdaq with the same concept that I've taught you, then you really want to be watching the New York session, because it's on the New York session that they have a lot of volume. But the problem here is that those kind of currency pairs have high volatility, in the sense that, you know, there's a lot of manipulation going on. Let's look at this point, right, where you may have perhaps thought, okay, I'm trying to short or go long on Nasdaq, right? So perhaps the market started off with a downturn, then you get in, and then what happens quickly, there's that fake out, and then it start going on the upside. But if you're a smart trader and then you have your psychology really right, then you can easily flip your position. In fact, that is what differentiates winning and then, you know, succeeding traders from the weak ones. A weak trader, or a trader who hasn't really got their psychology extremely on point, would just take an L here and then start feeling sad without necessarily sitting on the chart to monitor the evolving of the whole market, to know that, okay, we just flipped sides, and then if I took an L here by trying to sell, then once the market has changed its volume and direction on the upside, let me change my bias and start looking into buy. If you're able to change that psychology, then you're already a success in this market. Because look at this day as well. That's the same thing. We had the whole market consolidation in between the Asian session and the London session, but only started moving in the New York session. But in the New York session, what we observe, a fake out as if the market is going to buy and then quickly reversing on the downside, where we had a huge sell on the downside. Now, this is where I end this strategy. This is a brief one, and I believe that it is very detailed, and everything I said is going to change the game for you. Like I said, this is the best day trading strategy ever, no cap. Once you paid attention to this, it should be like, a game changer in your trading life. I believe you guys love this. Don't forget to smash and destroy the like button if you really love this. It's very important, and it helps the video do well, and then it helps the YouTube algo as well. Click in the link in the description to join the KOJOFOREX Telegram community if you really want to be a member of my journey and then my team, right? Because I dropped trades there for free. Last Friday and Thursday, we had GBP trades, and then we made a lot of profit for free. Follow me on social media at KOJOFOREX, especially Instagram, because some of these content and then some of these signals as well, I post them on my Instagram stories, and then I go on Instagram live sessions teaching traders some of these tips and tricks that will better your career in trading as well. Yeah, so without wasting much time, I believe you are impacted, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.